When you think about athleisure giants, one name has dominated the conversation for over 2 decades: Lululemon. What started as a yoga-focused boutique in Vancouver has transformed into one of the world's most recognizable athletic apparel brands. The numbers tell an incredible story. The company has been profitable every single year since 2005, with revenues climbing steadily to surpass $10 billion in 2024, officially making it a Fortune 500 powerhouse. But here's where things get interesting. Despite those impressive figures, Lululemon has experienced one of the most dramatic stock crashes of 2025. Since the beginning of the year, the company has hemorrhaged over 57% of its value, translating to roughly $22 billion in market capitalization, simply evaporating. By late November 2025, shares were trading around $180, down from a 52-week high of over $423. That's not just a correction. That's investors fundamentally questioning whether this brand still has what it takes to compete. Hey, quick favor before we dive deeper. If you're enjoying this deep dive in a company's documentary, smash that like button and subscribe. Now, let me be absolutely clear. Lululemon isn't going bankrupt tomorrow. But something has shifted dramatically in how Wall Street and consumers view this once unstoppable brand. The warning signs are everywhere. A few years back, the company unveiled an ambitious 5-year growth plan, targeting revenues of $12.5 billion by 2026. As we approach that deadline, it's becoming painfully obvious they're going to fall short. The primary culprit? Stagnant sales in the United States, their single largest market by far. Every earnings report seems to bring more disappointment. Sales figures consistently miss analyst expectations, triggering yet another round of stock sell-offs. Investors are starting to wonder aloud, has Lululemon peaked? With over 780 stores worldwide, maybe they've saturated their core markets. Maybe the athleisure gold rush is finally over for them. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into Lululemon's fascinating journey from yoga studio to global empire, while unpacking what I believe are the critical factors driving this potential decline. Let's get into it. The origin story. Back in 1998, entrepreneur Chip Wilson opened the very first Lululemon location in Vancouver, Canada. It was a hybrid concept, part yoga studio, part retail shop. Wilson had just sold his previous venture, West Beach, a surfing and snowboarding apparel company. He'd gotten into yoga to work on his flexibility and balance, and immediately noticed a gap in the market. People were exercising in cotton clothes that weren't designed for intense movement or sweat. Using his industry expertise, Wilson created a line of premium, stretchy athletic were specifically engineered for yoga. He partnered with local yoga instructors who helped design the products and promoted them to their students. The timing was perfect. Yoga was exploding in popularity across North America, and Lululemon rode that wave beautifully. What started as a cult-like following among yoga enthusiasts gradually evolved into mainstream fashion success. In 2005, Wilson made a pivotal move, selling 48% of the company to private equity firms for around $100 million. That capital injection funded aggressive retail expansion. 2 years later, in 2007, Lululemon went public, raising an additional $240 million through its IPO, money that was immediately funneled into opening even more stores. Remarkably, the stock price tripled within months of going public. The brand gained massive cultural momentum, appearing on hit shows like Desperate Housewives, which only amplified consumer demand. For years, everything they touched seemed to turn to gold, but that momentum has clearly stalled. So what happened? Reason number 1: economic headwinds beyond their control. Let's start with the most straightforward explanation: macroeconomic forces. High interest rates, persistent inflation, and general economic uncertainty have squeezed consumers hard. When people feel financially stretched, premium brands like Lululemon are often the first to feel it. Shoppers start hunting for cheaper alternatives, brands that offer similar looks without the premium price tag. But it gets worse. In 2025, tariffs have become a major threat to Lululemon's bottom line. The company has stated publicly that tariffs are expected to slash profits by approximately $240 million. Their response? Raising prices on select products, a dangerous move when consumers are already price-sensitive due to inflation. It's a vicious cycle. Tariffs increase costs, forcing price hikes, which could further drive customers toward budget competitors. Additionally, changes to import regulations, specifically the removal of an exemption for goods under $800, have added yet another layer of financial pressure. These are largely external factors, things Lululemon can't directly control, but they're undeniably making an already difficult situation much worse. Reason number 2, the Mirror acquisition disaster. Let's talk about one of Lululemon's biggest strategic blunders, buying Mirror. If you don't remember, Mirror was essentially a $1,500 smart mirror you mounted on your wall. For a monthly subscription fee, it streamed live fitness classes, personal training sessions, and more. The company launched in 2018 and gained serious traction during the pandemic when gyms were closed and home fitness was booming. In mid-2020, Lululemon acquired Mirror for $500 million. It was their first ever acquisition and represented a bold attempt to diversify beyond apparel into the connected fitness space. The hope was to build a recurring revenue stream through subscriptions and position themselves as a holistic wellness brand. But as gyms reopened and people returned to in-person workouts, Mirror's momentum completely collapsed. By 2023, Lululemon was forced to record a $443 million impairment charge on Mirror, essentially admitting that they'd massively overpaid and the business had lost nearly all its value. Later that year, they signed a partnership with Peloton, effectively throwing in the towel on Mirror entirely. It was a spectacular failure. $500 million plus years of management attention and resources, all wasted. That capital and focus could have been invested in product innovation, store expansion, or marketing. Instead, it became an expensive lesson in what not to do. Reason number 3, fierce competition from all sides. This might be the single biggest threat Lululemon faces right now. The athleisure market has become brutally competitive. The pandemic accelerated the work-from-home trend, and with it, the demand for comfortable, stylish athletic wear skyrocketed. That demand hasn't faded, but now there are countless brands fighting for those same customers. CEO Calvin McDonald himself acknowledged in recent earnings calls that the competitive landscape has fundamentally changed in just the past few years. Premium competitors like Vuori and Alo Yoga, brands that barely existed a decade ago, are now direct threats. Vuori, for instance, started in 2015 selling men's shorts out of a garage. By late 2024, the company had raised $825 million at a valuation of $5.5 billion. They've already surpassed their goal of opening 100 stores by 2026, having completed it ahead of schedule with over 80 locations in the US alone. Consumer research shows Vuori customers increasingly view the brand as equal or superior to Lululemon in quality and durability. Then there's Alo Yoga, which has become a social media darling, especially among Gen Z consumers. With celebrity endorsements and a strong influencer strategy, Alo has positioned itself as the trendy alternative to Lululemon. Focus groups reveal that younger shoppers see Lululemon as the brand their moms wear. Not exactly the perception you want when trying to attract new customers. But it's not just premium brands eating into their market share. Lower-priced competitors are also making moves. Target launched its all-in-motion athleisure line in 2020, and it hit over $1 billion in sales within the first year. Even Costco has gotten aggressive, with Lululemon actually filing a lawsuit against them for allegedly selling nearly identical products at a fraction of the price, sometimes just 10% of what Lululemon charges. The athleisure market has grown, yes, but it's also become incredibly fragmented. Lululemon can no longer take its dominance for granted. To survive, they need to differentiate themselves and remind consumers why they should pay premium prices. Which brings us to the next problem. Reason number 4, stale product offerings. Now, I'm not saying Lululemon's entire product line is terrible. I'm not qualified to make that judgment, and plenty of loyal customers would probably disagree. But here's the thing. Even Lululemon's own leadership admits their products haven't been hitting the mark lately. In 2024, their chief product officer, who'd been instrumental in the company's success over the previous 5 years, left the company. Shortly after, Lululemon discontinued their breeze-through leggings after customer backlash over the unflattering fit. It might seem like a small issue, but it's indicative of a larger problem. They're losing touch with what customers actually want. CEO Calvin McDonald didn't mince words in recent statements. He admitted that their lounge and social product categories have become stale and haven't resonated with customers. He acknowledged they've relied on the same product playbook for too long, letting certain items run through too many lifecycle iterations without meaningful innovation. The company's response? Inject fresh energy into their lineup. They plan to increase new styles from 23% of their product mix to 35% by spring 2026. They're also accelerating their design and market timeline to test new concepts faster and respond to customer feedback in real time. The question is, will it be enough? Fashion is notoriously fickle. If Lululemon has indeed become predictable, as McDonald suggested, winning back trend-conscious shoppers, especially younger ones, won't be easy. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you still excited about Lululemon's product offerings, or have you found yourself gravitating toward competitors? Reason number 5, scandals and controversies. Finally, let's briefly touch on the various controversies that have dogged Lululemon over the years. While the company has proven remarkably resilient, reputational damage can have long-lasting effects, especially in fashion where brand perception is everything. Even the company name has a controversial origin. Founder Chip Wilson has said he deliberately chose a name with multiple L sounds because it would be difficult for Japanese speakers to pronounce, making the brand seem more exotic and foreign to them. It's an odd and arguably problematic rationale. In 2007, Lululemon marketed a line of clothing they claimed was infused with seaweed, promising health benefits like stress reduction and detoxification. The New York Times commissioned independent testing that found zero evidence of seaweed in the fabric. Oops. Then came the infamous 2013 see-through pants recall, which turned into a PR nightmare. Chip Wilson, still chairman at the time, made tone-deaf comments suggesting the issue was related to women's body types rather than product quality. His subsequent apology was widely panned, making things worse. He stepped down from the board in 2015. In 2018, the CEO at the time resigned suddenly due to a relationship with a company designer that violated corporate policy. Another embarrassing headline. None of these scandals individually destroyed the brand, but collectively, they've chipped away at Lululemon's carefully cultivated image. In an increasingly crowded market, every misstep matters more than it used to. The crossroads. So here's where we stand. Lululemon remains a profitable, globally recognized brand with over $10 billion in annual revenue. But the momentum has clearly stalled. Same-store sales in the Americas, their biggest market, were down 4% in the most recent quarter. The company has slashed its full-year earnings guidance multiple times as tariffs, competition, and product missteps take their toll. Wall Street is nervous. Analysts have mixed ratings, with many adopting a cautious hold stance rather than enthusiastic buy recommendations. The stock's price-to-earnings ratio has dropped to historic lows, suggesting investors expect minimal growth moving forward. But here's the thing about retail. Brand can bounce back. If Lululemon successfully refreshes its product lineup, navigates the tariff challenges, and reconnects with younger consumers, there's no reason this can't be a temporary setback rather than a permanent decline. The athleisure category isn't going anywhere. People still want comfortable, stylish workout clothes. The question is whether Lululemon can reclaim its position as the undisputed leader. So I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Is Lululemon's current struggle just a minor stumbling block? Or does it reflect deeper structural problems? What would you do if you were running the company? Are you still buying their products? Or have you switched to competitors like Vuori, Alo, or even Target? We could be witnessing a pivotal moment in one of retail's biggest success stories of the past 2 decades. I'm genuinely curious where you think this is headed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.